Welcome to everyone. This week video will cover the SP500, the gold market, and the US dollar. This update will be for the week of November 27, 2023. Before we start, make sure you read carefully the disclaimer. If you like this video, don't forget to click on the like button, subscribe and click on the bell to make sure you don't miss any future videos. Let's start with the long term on the SP500. The last SP500 update was last week. The 40 weeks cycle. Last week I mentioned there is two different options where to place the 40 weeks cycle. The first option is the July low is the 40 weeks low. The second option is the low occur on middle of August. After trading on his cycle line for about 3 weeks, this week the SP500 rebound from his cycle line, giving more credibility to placing the 40 weeks low on July 2023. The 20 weeks cycle. Last week I mentioned, if this week the market crossed sharply above it, this will be the first sign of the first option validity. If next week the market resume his decline, then there is a high probability the second option is valid. With the upside crossing, this week the market confirmed the October low is at least a 20 weeks cycle low. This confirmed too the first option for the 40-week cycle low on July 2023. The crossing occurred at 44.78 for a potential upside target at 48.52. 48.52 will be a new all-time high. The previous one was 4,818.62 on January 2022. Is the market will meet his target and make a new all-time high? Before meeting his target, the market first have to go through his July resistance at 46.07. For now, knowing if the market will meet his target or not is not very important, especially from the short-term trading. The success rate for this cycle is 100%. 80 days cycle. On this time frame, there is no change from last week. The trend is still up and the peak for this 80 days cycle is still expected around the first week of December, and the low in the first weeks of January 2024. The success rate for this cycle is 100%. The 40 days cycle. This week 45.68 peak could be the 40 days cycle peak. Since the peak occurred on the right side of the cycle, the red dashed line, we can expect the market will find support on his cycle line. At that time, the cycle line will be at 4,407 and 43.68. This week high didn't meet yet his target. This 40 days low is still expected on November 30th, the yellow zone on the chart. The success rate for this cycle is 80%. The 20 days cycle. This 20 days cycle low is expected Monday, November 27th. Technically at that stage the market should cross below his cycle line, providing a downside target. This week, we can expect the market down. The success rate for this cycle is 89.47%. Let's finish with the 10 days cycle. The next 10 days low is scheduled for Monday, November 27th. And technically, the market should cross below his cycle line. The success rate is 100%. Now let's switch to the gold market. Just as reminder, to analyze the gold market, I use the GLD ETF. There is no major change on the long-term picture. On the 20-week cycle, the 194.06 target still valid, and the low still expected in January 2024. So let's start with the 80 days cycle. This 80 days cycle low is scheduled between December 12th and 14th. The target provided by the mid-October crossing is just $1.32 above the October 27th high at 186.36. We can expect this target to be met during the next rally for the 80 days peak. Watch carefully where the 80 days peak will form and compare it to the peak of the cycle, the red dashed line. For now, there is a very high probability this peak will form on the right side of the cycle, telling us the next decline should be moderate. The success rate for this cycle is 57.14%. The 40 days cycle. The last 40 days cycle low was on November 13th. The next low is expected on December 14th. This week the gold market has been trading on his cycle line. The market crossed slightly above his cycle line, but no clear signal. We have to wait for the confirmation, if we have no confirmation. This will confirm there is some bearishness coming into the market. The 20 days cycle. The last 20 days cycle low was on November 13th. The next one is expected on November 30th, the yellow zone on the chart. At that time the market should cross below his cycle line, providing a downside target. Here are the support lines and their potential targets, if the market cross below them this week. If the market make a higher high, then the targets have to be recalculate. To know how to calculate the price's target, I recommend to watch my videos about introduction to cycles. I posted the link below. The success rate is 92.31%. The 10 days cycle. The last upside target at 183.91 have been met. And the last 10 days low was on November 13th. The next one is expected today, Friday, November 24th, and the next one November 30th. This cycle low is expected to occur on his cycle line. Then rebound and resume his short-term uptrend. Let's finish this update with the US dollar index. The 20-week cycle. This week the dollar index crossed slightly below his cycle line and found support on his trend line. The crossing occurred at 104.88, but to be valid we need a confirmation next week. If the crossing is confirmed, then the potential target will be 102.41. On the last update, I expect the market finds support on his cycle line and trend line, that's why we need confirmation. It looks like the 20-week cycle run little bit longer. The 80 days cycle. Because the 20-week cycle run little bit longer, this will affect the 80 days cycle low. The last 80 days low was on September 19th. The next 80 days cycle low should occur on November 27th. There is a very high probability this week low at 103.17 was the 80 days cycle. Due to the principle of synchronicity, if the November 21st is the second 80 days cycle since the July 14th, it will also be the 20-week cycle. During the next rally, the US dollar should cross above his cycle line and provide an upside target. The next 80 days cycle low is expected the first week of February 2024. The success rate is 83.33%. The 40 days cycle. Last week low at 103.17 was the 40 days low. The next one is scheduled on December 24th. The US dollar should cross above his cycle line and provide an upside target zone. Here are the resistance lines for this week, and their potential targets if the market cross above his cycle lines this week. The success rate for this cycle is 100%. The 20 days cycle. If the market cross above his cycle line this week, this will confirm the November 21st is a 20 days cycle low, and at the same time the 40, 80 days and 20 weeks low. The next 20 days low is expected on December 7th, and should find support on his cycle line. If the market do not find support on his cycle line, and cross below or stay below the cycle lines, this will mean there is some bearishness coming into the market. The success rate is 100%. The 10 days cycle. This week, the market should cross above his cycle line and provide an upside target. The next 10 days cycle is expected on November 28th and should find support on his cycle line. The success rate for the 10 days cycle is 94.44%. In conclusion, we still have some bullishness in the SP500. The gold market is mixed for now and still in corrective phase on the short term. The US dollar should resume his uptrend. This is the end of this week's video. Thank you for following me. Next week, I will publish another market update.